Well, the continuing saga of trying to catch up on the saw work. I really haven't videoed as much as I've done. I simply just haven't had time to edit and produce videos between running down issues with the new building and trying to get the hay in. We've got a bunch of hay done. Just a bunch of stuff, it adds up, you know. Next thing you know, you're just completely overwhelmed with all the stuff that has to happen around the farm, and that's where I am. So what happens is saws have to take a back burner, because as much as I enjoy it, they still are a hobby, not a business. So one of the things I got to do today, oh, by the way, look what I found. Oregon sells these scrunches with a 17 millimeter one side, 19 on the other, and that's for the John threads, the old John threads. Pleased to death to find those. But back to what I was saying, I've got a bunch of saw work I have to do. I've got some common service tool video I might throw in here because I did some diagnostics. And I've got a bunch of this. This one here needs a back test. The top end is scored. So here's the moment of truth on this saw. We'll give it a test and see what we have. And have the adapter that I guess is for steel, and I had to put some spacers to basically squeeze down on it. But let's see what we got here. Okay, this is on the vac test, and it is holding vac. I'm going to test it again, but let me go to pressure, see if it goes the other way. There's 7 pounds. So this one doesn't have an obvious bottom end problem, because we'll put the camera on it and I'm going to put the timer on it. Alright, so let's go. It's at pressure, and I have it at 7 pounds. Okay, stop, reset, start. I'm just going to let this run for a couple of minutes. Yeah, that saw is sealed up. I can tell you right now it's sealed up. I don't even have to let it run its course. True John thread. Yeah. Huh?
Twice.
Cut it twice, huh? I think that's going to be about it for today. And this is the video camera I have because my other one ran out of battery. But the Oregon did not. And the second battery on the Husqvarna did not run out either. And that proves that you can take down a decent sized piece of wood with a pole saw. Well, it lives. They both do. They fired right up, which surprised the heck out of me. And I don't see anything leaking on this old bear today too, so that's a step in the right direction, right? I gotta start cleaning up all these piles around here and start doing the final shaping. Poor old machine. That thing has been around a long time. That truck is really nice to drive. I'm very, very fortunate. But I want to get rid of all this stuff all the way up around the edge and then start getting the final grade in and then start digging some shale for the road. That's the mission for the day. I don't know how much I'm going to get for snapshots. A little bit gooey down here. Here's the before. All up around there's piles. And all the way down through there's piles. There's this one old machine right here. Another old beater right there. And they're going to move these piles from one spot to another. Freaking truck is so cool. You know, that airbag suspension does a pretty nice job of softening out the sharp bumps on the field here. And it moves a whole lot quicker than that darn tractor with a big giant trailer. The only problem I have with this truck is when I look out the mirror and it's like half of it's missing. What I'm used to. And Matt's taking down this field with a disc bind. This is some thick, heavy hay. Wow. I bet we get 100 bales off of this field alone. There's 20 something acres here. I think it's gonna be about 25 acres all said and done. But this is as thick as I've ever seen it. And I'm sort of at the hilltop, so it's hard to see how it kind of dips over the hill and sort of pans out into a valley. But that's a big John Deere, so that'll give you a clue on how big this field is. He's in the mud. That's it. He's gonna have to back out of that. I don't know how wet it is down here. There's a wet spot down in here too. There is a lot of hay down in this field. I'm going to easily guesstimate over 100 bales in this field alone. It's 25 acres. And you're going to get 4 or 5 bales per acre. So, a lot of hay down, a lot of work to do. So here's a sort of a supposition. This saw here, which has been driving me nuts, is 250, maybe a little more, right? The Husqvarna 240. This saw right here is 270 or so with a battery and a battery charger, and isn't a whole lot less powerful. It is. I mean, the 240 is going to run a little stronger, but this is a lot easier to deal with and a lot easier to use. This is a Husqvarna 120i, and you've seen it on the channel now for a year or so, maybe a little more. No issues. It gets run a lot. You don't have to deal with gas. You don't have to deal with all these little goofy tubes and stuff like that. It's just a good running saw, you know. And for the casual homeowner, a saw like this, the only fluid you have to deal with is bar oil, right? Little flippy cap right there and bar oil. But you don't have to deal with chokes and bad gas and the alcohol attacking, you know, internal parts of the carburetor, and all that stuff is just basically turn it on and pull the trigger and it goes. So I'm going to say it yet again. All you people out there looking for a yard saw, there isn't anything that performs as well as this Husqvarna 120i in that price range. Nothing. You know, not the Harbor Freights, not the Steels, none of them. That's probably the best one you're going to get your hands on for that price point. You can spend more money and get more saw, but for that under $300 price point, as compared to getting something like this, which is just a non-stop pain in the neck, getting one of those battery powered saws, one of the better ones, just makes all the sense in the world. It's actually, as far as I'm concerned, it's a no-brainer. Now, when you get over $300 and you need more power than a battery saw, saws like the Husqvarna 450 and this saw right here, the Makita 4300, it makes all the sense in the world as well, because the parts in this saw work. Not a little bit, they work well. You know, you get what you pay for. And yeah, it's a 40cc saw, and you might want to get to a 50 and the more powerful saw. But that next level of saw, the next level of capability requirement, these saws here are just worth the extra money as compared to like a 240 or a steel 170, 180 range. You know, spend the extra $50, $100 and get something like this, and just save yourself so much hassle. Humble opinion. And if you don't have the money or don't need a bigger saw, you want something for brush, back to that battery saw. And I would avoid these like the plague. So, basically what I've come to the conclusion is I really can't fix this in a conventional sense. I've got to do something different, because somewhere in the system I'm just getting a lot of air, and I don't know where it is coming from. And until I can figure out where the air is coming from in this saw, it's just going to run badly. Now, I've replaced the carburetor, I've replaced a bunch of other things, just taking shots in the dark, you know, being a parts changer mentality versus trying to fix it. And I really haven't come up with a good solution. It just doesn't run well. I mean, it's got compression, the bottom end sealed up. It has to do with the carburetor. The carburetor is just cheap. This was the original one. Here's a new one. It doesn't do anything, you know, any better. So after a thorough thrashing on this poor little saw, probably didn't deserve as much of a beating as I've given it, you know, at least on the channel. Let me see if I can figure out how to get it back together. It's been a while. It's been sitting way too long. One thing I got to do is get the throttle on. Get that all the way in there. And get that. So I put the throttle and the choke lever on, and then I set that carburetor back in there. Make sure you're not pinching lines. That's obviously not going to help if you got pinched lines. And choke goes in like this. Throttle cable goes in like this. Yeah, looks about right. Basically, the choke has a little bump that kicks this on-off switch up. So when you pull the choke, you've basically set the on-off switch properly. Now, if I remember correctly, and I do, you've got this screw on the very top. That kind of is one of the key parts of the puzzle. And then you've got these little 8mm doodads here. Now I've got to find my 8mm wrench because I don't know where I put that. But I've basically given up on the saw. I'm not going to get it to run any better without significant research and development time, which I do not have. I just don't have the time to do it justice, you know? Make sure that gasket gets squeezed properly. This little guy up here. Make it firm. Function test. Yep, that's all there. And then, I mean, it really doesn't go back together all that hard. Basically, you have this arrangement right here, like this. Right? And this goes like that. I like this and that. Little cage, you gotta pierce it down into there. And then there's a screw. Yeah, pretty much has to be that one right there. That goes like that. That gives you access to the carburetor. That's your throttle. The key right here is there's sort of a slot in the trigger. And you've got to fish that piece right there through the slot, and the rest of it is pretty simple. Kind of like that. And the rest of this is pretty much just put screws in and it's done. So it comes apart pretty quick. You know? Once you understand what you're dealing with here, this comes apart pretty quickly. Make sure I got that still on there. And you got the shorter of the screws here. Make that firm. Then you get two longer ones. One goes right there. Right. That a little more firm than before. Then there's one more screw. And this thing is back together. So one thing I can complain about is how it runs, but I cannot complain about how easy it comes apart and goes back together again. That is cool. Now, that'd be really cool if you could make it freaking run after you put in all the time, you know what I'm saying? So let me see. I like it. It's running a little bit fat now because I had it running in a cold day and I fattened it up. But runs, it idles, it responds to adjustments, you know what I'm saying? It's just a very nice little saw. And I would highly recommend that one. Or how about this one right here? You push the button, green light goes on. And listen to that idle. How do you beat that freaking idle? I don't have to adjust the choke, the high or the low or nothing. I don't have to worry about gas. I don't have to worry about bad lines and stinky gas leaking all over the place. Just go like this. And want to know how much gas I have in there? For a homeowner, you just can't beat these. And you can't beat this one in particular for the price and performance. I just don't think you can. I haven't seen anything yet, and I've run a whole bunch of them now. But I think Husqvarna just nailed it with that 120i product.